Okay? Okay? That's the problem. And falling back on identity politics just shows you're lazy. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, we have some fantastic news. Ynet Global. If Orban falls, Israel could lose its EU firewall. Hungary has repeatedly used its EU veto to block sanctions on Israel. If opposition leader Peter Majar wins and aligns with Brussels to unlock billions of funding, Jerusalem could, lose their EU firewall. And guess what? Lo and behold,
all right, Hungary's prime minister.
Hungary. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something. Lo and behold, okay? Lo and behold, listen up. We're opening up the filters here, okay? We're opening up the filters so you can spam. Boys, girls, and MBs. Viktor Mihaly Orban, Hungarian lawyer and politician who has been 56th Prime Minister of Hungary, also known as Majorist, after being re-elected as Prime Minister in 2014, 2018, and 2022, has lost his seat to his opposition. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs. Peter Majar will be the next leader. Peter Majar, Hungarian politician and lawyer, serving as the president of the TISA party, is, after spending a good deal of time being a member of the European Parliament since 2024, will be the next leader of Hungary. Viktor Orban, more like Viktor Orband. Viktor Orban, more like Viktor Organ, lost to a lawyer. R.I.P. Bozo, to the fascist piece of shit. A Donald Trump ally, a Benjamin Netanyahu ally, a Vladimir Putin ally, as a matter of fact, is now out. All right, so we'll talk about that, obviously. Hungary election, Prime Minister Viktor Orban concedes defeat to opposition, ending 16 years. Let's take a look.
Minister Viktor Orban has conceded defeat in the country's election, ending years of power. He has congratulated opposition leader Peter Majar, whose party is on track to win a two-thirds majority in parliament. Sheesh! Nearly half of the votes have been counted. Hungary's election committee reported a record turnout. All right, we're going to go live on this breaking news to our correspondent, Step Vasin. She joins us now from Budapest. Step, obviously this is a huge result for the opposition. What are you seeing? What are you hearing where you are?
What an evening here for the people here.
Low key, it turns out sometimes you can actually elect fascists out of office, and that gives me a little bit of confidence about our future as well. I mean, it shouldn't take 4 years. But, it turns out sometimes, democracy could restore hope at the ballot box. Now, obviously, I have criticisms of, everyone's going to yell at me, but I have criticisms and concerns, let's say, about Peter Majar as well. Okay. I do have concerns. Obviously, this doesn't mean that, this doesn't mean that, things are going to be very good. It's just objectively going to be better than, living under the command of Orban.
It's all over for Viktor Orban.
Then why not voice them? Because I just started covering the story. Because the most consequential aspect of this is that Viktor Orban is gone for the time being. Can I, walk through the steps of covering the story without getting backseat production notes?
After 10 years, they can barely believe it, but it's absolutely happening. It is a landslide victory for opposition leader Peter Majar, who only worked for 2 years to reach this unbelievable result. He has now a very comfortable two-thirds majority projected for him to win, because this is very important. A two-thirds majority in parliament is important to change the constitution, which was so well crafted and changed by Viktor Orban in the last 16 years to get more control over the state institutions, over the democratic institutions, to control the media. So this is all that Peter Majar can change and his party can change when he gets his seats in parliament. And this is also very telling for populists around the world, that a populist leader who has used the propaganda machine of the state, who has silenced the media, can still be beaten. And this is something that this party And this leader, Peter Majar, has basically managed to show. So this is also a result that will not go down well in Washington. The endorsement by US President Donald Trump didn't help Orban. The last-minute visit by JD Vance here to Budapest last week didn't help Orban. Netanyahu has issued his support, didn't help. The far-right leaders from Europe were all gathering here in Budapest in the last couple of weeks.
Like, this guy was the beating heart of European fascism for so many years, okay? Right populist, totally aligned, massive dick rider of Donald Trump, JD Vance. Donald Trump personally tried to help him win the election, literally said, you know, we'll reconsider our allegiance with Hungary if Viktor Orban loses. Guy constantly was going at CPAC. This is a fairly consequential defeat for international fascism, even if the candidate that won, right, Peter Majar, is basically like a lighter version of him. And in some instances might even be more right-wing or more reactionary in terms of like immigration visas and immigration into the country. Because like Peter Majar is also, from what I understand, I looked into his background a little bit. He is known as like this vote for him was a vote for a lot of people looking at his background and saying like, this is an honest guy, right? Orban, very corrupt. People see him as a very corrupt tyrant. They saw Majar as a force that was uncorruptible. The difference, of course, also is that Majar is not a Putin-aligned, candidate and was against it, even if he is also super conservative, right? Yes, he was in Orban's party from 2024. He is right-wing but pro-European Union, as opposed to Orban, who was right-wing but anti-European Union, despite obviously getting a lot of money from the EU as well.
It all didn't help. The people here have decided something completely different. They want to be closer to Brussels, something that Viktor Orban has really managed to.
But yeah, I mean, here, like all you need to look at, is Viktor Orban's international endorsements, okay? Every light Hitlerite on the planet currently was actively petitioning to ensure that he wins. Like, straight up. So, is a real who's who of modern day Adolf Hitlers, okay? Dave Rubin? That's funny. Dave Rubin endorsed him. And Matt Schlapp, extraordinaire. Yeah, Hungary is moving from fascist adjacent right/far right populism towards having a normal right-wing government, which is honestly not great, but an improvement, I guess. Exactly. So yeah, it's not exactly a massive W for like socialism or even liberalism, if we're being honest. This guy is just pro-EU, and we shall see. It's a step in the direction of Hungary gaining more sovereignty, I think, away from the international fascist movement, which Orban was absolutely a part of, right? Is a moderate W? I wouldn't even say he's a moderate. I would say that he is firmly a right-wing guy. He is a right-wing candidate.
To destroy, basically, in the last couple of years, the relationship has been very bad. He is blocking money. Yeah,
my attitude on this is that Cloud District Control is right, is a blow to CPAC and the international consolidation of the far-right movement with Orban as one of its key pillars. Yeah. Orban was this like resilient force of like right sloppyism and what is the international fascist movement. Like he was the beating heart of fascism and its growth in the European Union. So it is significant in that regard.
For Ukraine, for weapons for Ukraine. So Peter Majar has already announced he wants to have a better relationship, to get the money back that Brussels has been blocking for Hungary, to improve the economy and to fight corruption. But it all has to be seen because Majar, from the other hand, is coming from the Fidesz party from Orban. He was a loyalist for many, many years. So he has a lot of the same ideals and values as Viktor Orban. The only things that are really different is his relationship he wants with the European Union. So people here have voted for Peter Majar because he was uniting the opposition in the last 2 years. People have reluctantly voted for him as well, but they had only one goal, and that was to get rid of Viktor Orban. That's how much they were exhausted by his rule. and also frustrated by the limits that he put on the democratic institutions here.
Yeah, and Steph, it looks like you are, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like you are waiting for the opposition leader, Peter Majar, to speak where you are. We can see these live pictures of the crowds and what we're seeing behind you as well. But Viktor Orban has conceded this.
Everything JD Vance touches turns into dust, whether it be the Pope, the former Pope, whether it be Viktor Orban's multi-decade rule over Hungary, or whether it be the ceasefire negotiations that took place last night that failed, right? 23 hours or whatever, 1 hours of back and forth communication, and it amounted to nothing. So JD Vance strikes again. Just truly the Grim Reaper, truly the Grim Reaper. He just, everywhere he goes, bad luck follows, okay?
Election, has he...
The Queen, I don't think did he also touch the Queen? I thought it was the Liz Truss.
Spoken? What
did JD Vance also link up with the Queen before she died? Oh my God. I thought it was just the Pope. I think you guys are confusing Liz Truss, which is the United Kingdom's JD Vance. I thought he just killed the Pope.
He has conceded, and he has conceded very early on, you would say. But he was speaking, and he said that he accepts the result. He congratulates Peter Majar. He said he will go and support the opposition. It's not clear, of course, if he will have a role in the opposition himself, but he says, we are not done, the fight is not over. So it shows basically that he is willing to accept the result, and all the talk that there was happening in the last couple of days, that there could be protests, that there could be resistance from whoever's gonna lose, that there could be violence even. It seems now all gone, with Viktor Orban coming out and very clearly saying, we lost.
All right, that is Al Jazeera's Step Vassen reporting amidst the historic scenes in Budapest. 16 years of rule from Viktor Orban is coming to an end tonight. Step, thank you. Well, a court in France is set to deliver a verdict on Monday in a landmark case. French cement firm Lafarge is accused of financing.
Woo! I mean, that's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. What would be Majar's American politician comparison? Ironically enough, maybe a JD Vance or a Marco Rubio, probably, as opposed to like Trump. If Viktor Orban is the Trump equivalent, Marco Rubio would probably be like, no, it wouldn't be Mitt Romney. You're out of your mind. No, it would not be Mitt Romney at all. Mitt Romney is a woke libtard. The difference between, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. The difference between Majar and Orban is not as like vast as you think it is, I think. That's like maybe a Mike Pence. Where should JD visit next? Visits the Pope. Pope dies. Leads Iran negotiations. Talks collapse. Flies to Hungary to prop up Orban. Orban loses in a landslide. Man's got a streak. One of the most repulsive individuals, dude. It's awesome. Now, of course, listen, like obviously European leaders are going to love this shit. Just held a meeting with Peter Majar to congratulate him on his victory in Hungary. France salutes the victory of democratic participation of the Hungarian people's attachment to the values of the European Union and for Hungary and Europe. Together, let us advance a more sovereign Europe for the security of our continent, our competitiveness, and our democracy. So that's the key thing here, is that Peter Majar, in spite of being almost as right-wing as Viktor Orban, not as right-wing, not as fascist, right? Not as overtly fascist, was a vote for a candidate that was against corruption, and a vote for a candidate that was going to be pro-European Union and like leaning into the EU rather than leaning into Trump and also Vladimir Putin. The Hungarian opposition was cool for doing the thing where you run Mitt Romney against Trump. I'd honestly respect Dems more if they just do that than if they run Kamala or Newsom in 2028. I don't think it's a Mitt Romney comparison. Like, is this threat to democracy really real, or is it not? Because if it was real, you wouldn't be constantly trying to square the circle between fighting back against it and also dragging your gloves over the finish line. Lula understood this when he made his former right-wing opponent his Veep in 2022. I think this is a terrible take. We should not be doing that. But it is funny to have a guy whose name is John America. That is because that's what his name, like Peter Majar is like having a candidate whose name is John America. Majar is the OG way to refer to Hungary. It's Majaristan. Peter Hungarian. Yeah, Mehmet Türkiye. Looks like the last bastion is gone. The Hungarians are about to learn the true meaning of you don't know what you got till it's gone. Again, the rest of us in Europe have just lost our only real stronghold against the EU. Devastating. In the battle between like the moderate social fascism demonstrated by the European Union versus the outright fascism demonstrated by the MAGA movement, championed by Viktor Orban, yes, it's better in comparison, but it's also entirely dependent on where the European Union goes. Are they trying to genuinely develop autonomy from the United States of America? Are they going to create solidarity and develop sovereignty for themselves? Are they going to work to decouple from Western imperialism and its forces championed by the United States of America? Or are they simply going to business as usual politics again? We don't know. There have been some statements that offer a little bit of hope that there is maybe some sovereignty at play here, but I still am not % confident. Times of Israel reporting that there is little expectation of Majar to make any actual moves against Israel and that at most he will just be anti-Netanyahu while still supporting Israel in the dealings in the European Union. Yeah, post-Orban Hungary would not expose Israel to more EU pain, though support may ebb. Yair Lapid congratulates him. Israeli leader of the opposition, Yair Lapid, the son of Hungarian Holocaust survivor, congratulates Majar Pete in Hungarian. Yeah, so this is part of the reason why I say like I wouldn't be as confident with a new calculation against Israel, which is a necessity, which is absolutely necessity, were to genuinely develop autonomy from the United States. Okay? It's sitting right there. Easiest way to slide away from American control and to truly develop dignity and sovereignty for European Union states. Okay? Yeah, this is basically replacing the illiberal right with the liberal right, which is an improvement, but no sea change. So we shall see. We shall see. Maybe, if I have time. Do you think the neo-lib leadership asswipes will dare go for it? I don't know. EU Parliament left president affirming what you're saying. The Orban era turns in Hungary with relief and record turnout. This is a heavy defeat for Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella's ally, who had gone there to support him. But let's be clear, Peter Majar is not a clean break from the Orban era. More mindful, we hope, of respect for the rule of law. He will lead a policy firmly anchored on the right. He was a member of Orban's cabinet and shares some of his positions with him, particularly on LGBT issues. For instance, he refused to oppose Orban's ban on pride in Budapest or on migration issues. Now remains the task of rebuilding democracy in Hungary and a fighting left to definitively avert that fate. It is up to us to help rebuild a left-wing alternative that will win tomorrow without betraying the day after. If this trend continues, LFI has a chance of friends. I don't think this is as positive of an indication for the true left candidates. If anything, it's a positive indication for social democratic candidates, center left candidates. I don't think you guys understand how firmly committed like Europeans are to liberalism. It is a totally different demon. I mean, they have parliamentary systems, obviously, and therefore there is an expression of true left, but the same battles that we are having to deal with here in the United States of America within the Democratic Party's coalition, who do they respond to? How much they lean into like true leftist economic populism? That the only country that has been able to fight that battle and win has been the rise of the Greens in the UK. Okay? That's it. In most other European countries, they are actively trying to design a center-left movement that will be robust, and Pedro Sanchez is absolutely an example of this. See, many of you don't see it. See, a lot of you don't see it. You literally immediately say, well, what about Spain? No, Spain is exactly what I'm talking about. Spain is not aligned with LFI. LFI is the true left party in France. Spain is aligned with the Socialist Party in France, which is the center-left party. A center-left party that calls itself socialist, but is like maybe at best like modest, socially democratic. Okay? That is the reality. There are a lot more resilient social democratic forces that are center-left, if you want to call it that, are liberal parties that are doing everything they can to align with one another all across the European Union and to create a resilient base of support to like channel all of the potential leftist momentum into their parties as the only viable opposition to the center-right forces and far-right forces that have dominated Europe for the past decade. The Greens are a joke, Hassan. In the UK, the modern Greens, they're not a joke. They're a force to be reckoned with. What are you talking about? They're currently destroying the neoliberal right-wing Labour Party in the UK. You never covered the Green victory in Kent? Yes, I did. So Spain's LFI equivalent is Podemos. The founder of that party was on your Cuba flotilla, Pablo Iglesias. Yes, I'm familiar. Why? The other party stepped down from the election to let Tisa do the system change. I really hope the next election cycle will leave us with better options. The leftists have voted for Tisha just so we can say goodbye to Fidesz and Orban and welcome democracy back into our country. It's good, though. It's good to see Orban suffer. This is absolutely a major blow to European fascism, straight up. It's true. I mean, it's a devastating blow for European fascism, even if it's the more moderate version of that is now going to be in charge. I think, given their pro-EU stance, they will liberalize. They will absolutely liberalize Hungary once again, which does create an opportunity for a true left to take advantage of the momentum, especially because the right-wing forces, if Peter Majar is just like a more moderate, more tempered approach to Viktor Orban, then the anxieties and the resentment will remain. This presents an opportunity for the Hungarian left to show a true alternative, because it was just not happening under Viktor Orban at all, right? Very illiberal rulership. You didn't even say anything. Is this true? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how little change will happen. Podemos has almost disappeared in Spain. There's a movement called Sumar that was a coalition of left parties. Right now, there is another movement to create another coalition for the next year election. Fidesz, with multiple pedophilic scandals, tried to expose Majar for having consensual adult girlfriend. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. That was a very funny thing. So from what I understand, Peter Majar and like the reason why he's seen as like an anti-corruption force was because his wife, literally his former wife, his ex-wife, was a part of the administration that actually, when they came into power, there was a pedophilia scandal, and his ex-wife was a part of the forces in the administration that actually pardoned a notorious pedophile as the justice minister. Okay. And Majar broke up with her and was like, this is okay. And that was a major reason why he's seen as like an honest guy. To my understanding, Majar is seen as an honest because of how he did not defend his ex-wife during that scandal and came out strongly against it. Yeah. So that was a big deal. This also showed that he was like, not willing to cut, secret side deals, right? Which was which was of huge interest to the Hungarian population, the Hungarian voters. And then there was a FSB operation where they literally filmed him having consensual sex with his adult girlfriend, and they were threatening to leak it, right? I might be mixing up exactly what took place here, but I'm pretty sure there was like because Viktor Orban is like Putin's guy, there was an operation to like leak his tape. Okay. But two things are really funny about this. One, it was adult consensual sex. That's number one. And two, the dude is kind of hot. So it didn't really work. Like Viktor Orban is a disgusting creature, both with what he believes and the way he looks. Whereas Peter Majar is like kind of a good-looking dude in comparison, especially in comparison to Viktor Orban. So like it backfired a little bit. It didn't work at all. Yeah, conservatives were mad that he was having consensual sex as opposed to what they're used to, which is unconsensual sex, minors who can't consent, right? So that's why they were like, "Oh, this will get him. How dare he? How dare he have non-predatory adult consensual sex? It's unheard of." And yes, he has officially secured supermajority. With over 84% of the votes counted, Peter Majar and his center-right conservative Tisha party have already far exceeded expectations, securing 138 of 100 total seats in the Hungarian parliament, providing them a supermajority over Prime Minister Viktor Orban and his Christian nationalist far-right Fidesz KDNP party alliance. Okay, so it's a good thing. It's a good shift. It's a shift in the positive direction, right? It's not necessarily bad. Here are some right-wingers in America coping with that decision. One of Majar's main criticisms of Orban is that he let in too many migrants that will slash legal immigration, especially foreign work visas. Majar is not the liberal that some Americans are fantasizing. Yeah, he also handled it by pretty much saying, yeah, I Lamau. So There's that too. The bars. Here is the monstrous creature, Viktor Orban.
Kedves barátaim, a választási eredmény, a győztes pártnak gratuláltam. Nektek, önöknek köszönöm a rengeteg munkát.
Offer support, trying to offer support to the international far-right fascist coalition. Please, we want more of this. I welcome it. I love it personally. I hope we get more of that. JD Vance, are you free in October? 26 Israeli legislative election. The kiss of death. The touch of death. Now, this is what Donald Trump did, by the way. Not only did President Trump repeatedly tout his endorsement of Viktor Orban's re-election bid and post the message below, Vice President JD Vance went to Hungary this past week to campaign for him. And it failed because America's approvals around the globe, even in previous allied and previously aligned fascist countries, has cratered. Okay? Cratered. This is literally what happened in Canada. This is certainly going to play a role in upcoming elections in Europe as well. Americans trying to intervene in the elections of foreign countries, with the exception of Israel, is always going to be a burden. It will always backfire. I hope they keep that shit up. I say, JD Vance, please keep that shit up. My administration stands ready to use the full economic might of the United States to strengthen Hungary's economy as we have done for our great allies in the past. If Prime Minister Viktor Orban, he was just trying to bribe. He was trying to in the elections openly and bribe Hungary and Hungarians if they vote for Viktor Orban again. Would Trump endorsement work in Turkey? No, I don't. I don't think so. I don't think Trump and JD Vance endorsement work. Turks hate Americans and America. This is an example of ideology trumping, no pun intended, national interests. Orban's Hungary is more allied with Russia and China than it is with U.S. Atlantis' interests, and the Trump admin still went fully behind him, just slop for the fascism tro. Yeah, that's true. The other side of the story is that what a lot of people don't realize is Bukele in El Salvador and also Viktor Orban's Hungary were very aligned with China as well. They got tremendous Chinese investment. A lot of people talk about how El Salvador has developed. And they're, oftentimes far-right figures. They're like, oh, Bukele is behaving in the way that we want him to. He's a fascist. He's a fascist. And it is true, except all of the development in El Salvador is Chinese-backed. Something similar was happening with Viktor Orban in Hungary as well. It's this very weird, China doesn't give a shit, right? China does not care. If given the opportunity, Peter Majar is like, oh, we should continue these investments in the country. I know for a fact that China would be perfectly fine with that, right? We know now what we need to beat Trump, an attractive young dude whose name is America. Maybe also could change his name or something. This was the day of the Canadian election. By the way, Pierre had to tell Trump to stop. President Trump, stay out of our election. The only people who will decide the future of Canada are Canadians at the ballot box. Canada will always be proud, sovereign, and independent, and we will never be the 51st state. Today, Canadians can vote for change so we can strengthen our country. Yeah, that was really funny. It was too late, though. Too little, too late. Oh, this was such a sad, but such a funny little moment. JD Vance
had a special guest that asked that I give him a phone call. And we'll see.
Sunyi Niufi, thank you for the 20 community gift to subs.
Let's hope he actually answers. So this is going to be very
Oh, God, I hope he picks up.
All right.
I'm sorry, the person you were trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
Okay. Try one more time.
Bro's on DND. Bro's on DND. He got no contact.
I get a good signal here. It's ringing. It's progress. I actually had a special guest that asked that I give him a...
God, he is such a charisma so good. God, he's so bad. He's so bad. The Hungarian TV media is very state-controlled. The elections are extremely gerrymandered for the rules, and Orban's used corruption to control state institutions, but it's an electoral authoritarian regime. The opposition can win is just unduly very hard, similar to Turkey, for the record. Drop side on Orban's loss. Viktor Orban, Hungary's authoritarian prime minister and one of Donald Trump's most loyal global allies, conceded defeat Sunday after 16 years in power. As opposition leader Peter Majar, center-right Tisza party took a commanding lead. With over half of precincts counted, Tisza stood at 52% to Orban's Fidesz at 38%. Orban called the result painful, but clear. Turnout was the highest in Hungary's post-communist history, with nearly 7% of eligible voters casting ballots. Majar is a former Fidesz insider who broke with Orban in 2024 over a government corruption scandal. He ran on a platform of Christian conservative politics, but without what he calls Fidesz's corruption, promising to restore EU ties, unfreeze billions of European Union funds, and bring Hungary back to Western institutional norms. On Israel, the Majar government would likely mark a shift from Orban, who Netanyahu has called a rock. Majar is expected to reverse Hungary's withdrawal from the ICC, which issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu before it becomes permanent on June 2nd. Hungary has been the sole EU member blocking sanctions on violent West Bank settlers. Majar may lift that veto. Orban repeatedly blocked EU joint statements condemning Israeli strikes, forcing the bloc's foreign policy chief to issue them in her name alone. That firewall would likely end. Majar is expected to distance himself from Netanyahu personally while maintaining ties with Israel more broadly. So there's that element too. The worst people you know are crying today. Oh, hell. RIP Hungary, you're about to be conquered by Muslims. Oh, hell. I already covered the EU member from the left who released her statements on this victory and what it means for the broad left coalition in the European Union. She was very sober about her assessment of the situation. She said, this is not the major W that you think it is. And she's right. Anyway.